AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Our host brings you the leading minds in AI, sharing their story, their success, and their advice. Focusing on fast-tracking you to the top, AI in Action cuts through the hype to help you kickstart your data science career. To listen to the latest AI in Action podcast, head over to www.alldus.com/podcast or subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Podcasts.
Hello, welcome to the Alldus podcast. I'm your host, Mark Kelly, Chief Customer Officer at Alldus International. In today's podcast, as part of the AI in Action series, I speak to a gentleman called Nicolas Kritter, CTO at Vizyon. Vizyon is leveraging the potential of blockchain technology to build decentralized, easy-to-use and secure processes around this marketplace. Nicolas, very, very good to have you on the show today.
Hello, and it's a pleasure to be part of this podcast.
Nicolas, can you tell me a little bit of an overview about yourself and then tell us a little bit about what Vizyon does?
I started as a distributed programming and AI engineer. And right after I finished my degree, I joined Vizyon to build the teleradiology platform. So to start with, I started with as an intern, and now I'm the CTO, which means I take care of designing the architecture, and also I do a lot of development to implement the process and the technologies on the platform. Vizyon started in 2016 and 2017 as an AI company. The aim was to build AI for radiologists, but in 2019, at a big radiology conference, they realized that to be an important player in the AI ecosystem, you need a lot of firepower, and they did not have it. So they decided to change how they manage the company and to become an AI provider. So to create a platform for teleradiologists to connect health center, teleradiologists, and AI tools to improve their diagnosis.
Tell us a little bit about Vizyon, problems that you're working with at the moment, and how do you actually overcome those problems?
So first, the main problem we have is when we are connecting different agents or different persons through a network, we need to manage the sensitivity of the data. So we need to securely exchange the medical images and to anonymize the image when we send to AI. So our main challenge in how we are integrating the different AI provider to make sure that the radiologist has a very smooth experience with AI. The thing is that for all the AI we use, they have a different kind of implementation, different way to send and receive data, receive a result. And for us, the radiologist should only have the result quite instantly and won't have to make any choice. So our challenge is extracting the right images, identify what kind of images it is to send it to the right AI, and then send the results so the radiologist will only see the medical images, the result from the AI, and will be able to do its job in a faster way and more efficient way in terms of diagnosis.
Nicolas, tell me a little bit about how you're utilizing AI.
So right now we are using AI to improve or to help the radiologist to make his diagnosis. So basically, in terms of gaining time, we will process everything and send the image to the radiologist, and he will have some heat map and some pre-generated result. So we will be able to focus on the most important part of the images and make sure he will have a more accurate diagnosis for the patient. Our job and the second thing we do is to select the eye for the radiologist, and that way he will only receive a per image report. The last thing we did is also to implement a pure AI solution for hospital and during the COVID crisis in France at the very beginning to allow hospital to do some COVID triage. So basically, we connect it to the hospital and we process the images to send it to an AI that will allow to determine if a patient will need intensive care or if the patient can go back to home and just stay at home while he has the virus.
Nicolas, can you share some of the benefits users will generate from your work?
I think what the main benefit of our work is that we have a consistency of the results from AI, whether it's the first exam, the 100th exam, whether also the time when the exam arrive, and also to have an unbiased medical exam. Because as the AI is focused on detecting, for example, one fracture, we will always look for it, even if in the medical context it is unlikely, which means that we had a value over the radiologist because we will always look for everything the AI look for. The second thing we provide is expertise, because for rare disease, not all radiologists have the best skills to detect it, because only some specialists can have it. And using AI allows us to bring expertise everywhere in the world. So we have clients on different continents. But with this expertise, we have a higher level of radiology, higher level of detecting disease, and we can spread it everywhere.
Nicolas, tell us a little bit about beyond image recognition, some of the challenges.
Okay, so one of the main challenges is that an AI is very good at what it does, which is at taking an image, finding a disease or fracture, whatever, scoring is finding, maybe sometimes tagging it in the image, but that's all it does. And when we want to generate a report, we need there is a lot of work that is still done by the human. For example, writing the report, which is a long part. Actually, when maybe the longest part of the radiologist work is to write the report. So we will need to implement an AI that understands the result, and based on the AI result, the medical context, start to write the report for the radiologist. The idea is that behind this, the radiologist will have just to check the images and check if he agrees or not with the AI, or maybe completing the report, and then the report generation will be much faster, because most of the work is done before the real expertise of the human. The second one is how we choose the images we send, because in a real world context, the image come in bulk. We receive all the exam. We have different body part, different type of images in the image set. So we need to detect which image should go to which AI. And the best way to do it is to use an AI. Otherwise, doing it by hand, it's expensive in terms of time or of resources. So the idea is to have an AI to send to the AI, and basically wrap all the AI ecosystem around an AI. And the last one goes to with understanding the medical report, is able to prioritize patients to one, the radiologist or the health center, if there is an emergency for the patient. So if an AI will find something very strange, we either ask the radiologist to check this patient priority, because there might be bad consequences, or directly even send an alert to the health center, so they will prepare special care to the patient. And this feature can save lives, because we can get a lot of time in terms of taking care of the patient.
Nicolas, tell me about some of the learns you've had along the way.
So I think the main lesson is that things are moving very fast. Something I remember when I entered my engineering school in 2016, they told us that maybe the job we will have after graduation do not exist today. And it was quite the case. When I joined in 2016, for example, the Bitcoin was at $500. It was just something that some geek were using. no, it's $50,000. It's blockchain is the main thing, and the job I have working on blockchain and developing a blockchain app and a blockchain platform did not really exist at the time. So it might be the case for people who are no students, so they are preparing for a job that may not exist, and especially in AI, which is evolving very, very fast. So the second point will be to stay up to date, because the way we did AI when I was in school and right now, there is a lot of things that change. And if you don't stay up to date, if you don't adapt, if you don't learn consistently and every day about the subject, you will fall behind. And that's what happened to the company before we switched to blockchain, is that we didn't have the resource to keep up to date with all the trend and tools the need. And that's the best way to be yet one another AI and completely fail, because there are a lot of AI right now, and things will change in 1 or 2 or 3 years. The market will be completely different. So if you don't stay up to date to the latest technology, it might be very hard for the future.
Nicolas, thank you very much for speaking with me today and speaking on the Alldus podcast for our AI in Action series. Things are moving very, very fast in this world, and you're adding a lot of value with the work that you're doing with Vizyon. So I'd like to thank you again, Nicolas Kritter, CTO at Vizyon, for sharing today about their AI platform, how they're using AI to help apply benefits within the healthcare space, some of the benefits of image recognition, what he's learned over his time, and how the sector is moving very, very quickly. Thank you again for your time today, Nicolas.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me.
AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Alldus offer an exec search program. Alldus can help you discover how data science and AI can transform your company. With our unrivaled network of C-suite executives and senior AI professionals, we offer retained search services across the US and Europe. Get the Alldus advantage. Become a member of the Alldus community and enjoy some of the following: AI meetups. Once a month, our community gathers to listen to some of the leading experts in the world of data science and AI. Our speakers come from all over the world, including Dublin, Boston, and Frankfurt. We also have our AI mentors. Our experts will provide mentoring to Alldus members. And don't forget our AI in Action podcast. Each week we have guests from all over the world talking us through their education, career, and more. Become an Alldus member and get the Alldus advantage. For more information and to sign up for our newsletter, log on to www.alldus.com. That's www.alldus.com. Alldus International, empowering through AI.